Welcome to the Leadership in Law podcast with host Marilyn Jenkins. Cut through the noise, get actionable insights and inspiring stories delivered straight to your ears. Your ultimate podcast for navigating the ever-changing world of law firm ownership. In each episode, we dive deep into the critical topics that matter most to you, from unlocking explosive growth to building a thriving team. We connect you with successful firm leaders and industry experts who share their proven strategies and hard-won wisdom. So, whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting your journey as a law firm owner, the Leadership in Law podcast is here to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to build a successful and fulfilling legal practice.
Welcome to another episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. I'm your host, Marilyn Jenkins. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Nancy Cavey, to the show today. In her late teens, Nancy's father was diagnosed with leukemia. As someone who witnessed firsthand the devastating emotional and financial impact on both individual and family that being disabled and filing for benefits can have, Nancy is not just an attorney, but an empathetic presence who understands what claimants are going through. Nancy has spent her career working tirelessly on behalf of Floridians who have not received fair treatment or promised benefits. In August of 2004, her legal peers selected her to serve as the chair of the Workers' Compensation Section of the Florida Bar. She's a member of the National Organization of Social Security Claims Representatives, the American Association for Justice, the Employee Benefits Section of the American Bar Association, the National Employment Lawyers Association, and the Florida Bar. I'm excited to have you here, Nancy. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Absolutely. I love your background and how you work to serve other people in the Florida area. The one thing I want to talk about that you do exceptionally well is your marketing of your firm. And I wanted to talk about how you go about doing that, because your marketing has allowed you to get past the Morgan & Morgans of the world in your area. You care to elaborate a little bit on what made you get started doing that?
Well, quite frankly, the Florida Bar was not particularly supportive of lawyer marketing back in the day. And so I had to find my own way to the world of marketing. I think the initial thing I had to get over was the concept that marketing at that point in time was a quote unquote a bad idea. Lawyers who were great lawyers just didn't have to market. Fortunately, that mindset has changed. And over the years, I've been fortunate to participate in a number of mastermind groups where I've been exposed to different kinds of marketing techniques, the sales process, and things that we just didn't learn in law school about educating the public. And so I've come at marketing not to yell louder than any other lawyer, but rather to educate my prospective clients. And that education process continues once they become our client, because we do a lot of informational materials at each stage of a case. So we do a lot of videos, and in our newsletter, we've always got links to features about like the disease of the month or a case that we think is important.
Okay, so you go into your marketing with an educational stand.
Absolutely.
And you call it the hub and spoke approach as far as creating content. That's one thing that I think coming up with social media or online marketing or any of that kind of stuff, some attorneys just can't seem to get their head around what to do and how to get out there. You're not just putting your face out, you're actually doing education, which I think is the best way to bring value to the table instead of, like you said, being the loudest. So what do you start with when you're looking at your hub and spoke approach, and how do you make your content work for you?
Well, I love to write. And so I seem to always have something to say or thought about something. And if you don't, quite frankly, I think that should be a problem, because I think one great way for lawyers to get started about thinking about this is ask yourself the top 10 questions that you get when you are talking to a new client. Think about the 10 things they don't ask you. Think about what you do in the course of your initial discussion, what you're explaining, and that ought to give you at least 30 topics to talk about. In this day and age, I write based on prompts. In other words, I do Google Alerts on different topics because my practice is medicine-based. So I have Google Alerts on probably 50 different kinds of diseases, so I get that. I read cases. I also have my office staff keep a piece of paper by their desk and write down the questions that they get or new issues that they haven't heard of. And so that sort of is the source, if you will, of my ideas. I write 30 blogs a month. I've been doing it so long that I can do one in about 15 minutes, and I use, the common voice activated process, if you will. And then that blog becomes, if you will, the spoke of the wheel.
Okay.
Then, we have all sorts of different forms of media. So I will take that blog and I will use AI, if you will, and I will say, okay, take this blog, give me a summary, give me the format, if you will, for a LinkedIn piece, give me a format for TikTok, give me a format for this platform, that platform, this platform. And so I am really using AI to help me now, not so much write the content, but reformat the content in a way that will meet whatever the particular audience is that I'm trying to address. And then I use my iPhone. So I carry a tripod around, and I have a studio here in my office, as you can see. I have a studio at my home, and I carry my tripod around with my phone. And so what I will do is, in addition to a tripod, I have just an old-fashioned music stand.
Okay.
So on the music stand, I have my teleprompter with my script. I have, like, on this piece of equipment I have right here, there's a toggle to put my phone if I wanted to. But on my tripod, I've got my phone, and I can format it sideways or horizontal, the way I need to match it for the format. And then literally, Marilyn, I have a marketing schedule.
Okay.
All the way out to the end of 2025. And so what I try to do is schedule out in advance what it is I'm going to be talking about. And I will do that, based on this format. So I'm going to do video. I'm going to do format for LinkedIn. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's actually scheduled in on my marketing calendar, blocked on my main calendar. So it's not only just creating the content, it's making the time to, actually film the content, because as we know in these days, it's all visual. The other thing that I do is so we post a video a day on YouTube, and that has dramatically increased our presence. I have people from all over the United States who will search by disease or by insurance company. They will find me and say, well, you're the only lawyer who's done a piece on this disease or that.
I love that.
And so that's one of the ways I've been able to stand out. It's educational content. It's content that is posted daily on YouTube. We're refining our social media and our LinkedIn campaigns in terms of the frequency and the nature of what it is we're posting. But so I start with a blog. Then I have social media of all formats. But then I also have a podcast. It's called Winning Isn't Easy. We've been doing it for 4 years. We post, I think, 48 weeks out of the year. And the basis of that podcast is the blog. So we will format that in 3 segments. I have commercials, breaks that advertise my books. And I'm going to digress a second. The book was created based on what it is I wanted to say to my clients. My initial, here's the Social Security, the 5-step sequential evaluation. This is the claims process. These are the traps. I have 2 long-term disability books. I do ERISA disability litigation across the United States. I have one for professionals that's 235 pages long. That took me a year to write. But again, that's part of my marketing funnel. So if you come to our website, you can order a copy or download or hard copy of this book. Again, that book was created based on my years of experience, dealing with clients, what they want to know, and the way I want to explain it and educate them. The YouTube videos and the books give me an authority that I have, I've granted to myself, if you will. Okay, nobody appointed me. I self-anointed myself, if you will, as an expert.
Exactly.
By virtue of my writing. Now, we have just launched another podcast 2 weeks ago for the Social Security disability. So, Marilyn, what I have found is that these kinds of marketing efforts have made me the wise woman, if you will, on the Social Security mountain and on the ERISA long-term disability mountain. People will call me up and I don't have to interview them. They say, where do I sign the contract? I want you to represent me. So
Pre-sold.
yeah. So I know this sounds like a lot, and yes, it is. It's taken years to do this, but you got to take it in little daily bite-sized chunks, if you will, organize and take advantage of AI tools like we use Opus clips. So I can shoot a blog post, which turns out to be 3 to 5 minutes. And we can say, okay, Opus clips, we want you to shorten this to 2 minutes. We want you to do it in a LinkedIn format. We want you to do it this way. So I don't have to do that if I don't want to. So lots of tools out there that you should be taking advantage of, and which will give you a competitive advantage against your competitors.
I absolutely agree with everything you said. I think the big thing is the overwhelm. When we see what you're doing, because you've been doing it so long, you've got it on your schedule, people get overwhelmed at the even thought of doing something daily, right? But I like what you're doing is that the Google Alerts is something I haven't thought about. That, I do a lot for social media, but I love the idea of setting up a Google Alert of something that's important to your practice area and using that as your content idea. I do recommend the FAQs. What are the top 10 questions you get asked? What was it? I really like that you pointed out, what are the 10 things you wish a client would have asked?
Right.
That is a whole different level of education. So I love that. Okay.
So we've just given them 30 things they can do pretty easy. I mean, just pick up the old-fashioned dictating machine, if you will, for whatever you want to do and say, okay, question number 1 is blah, here's my answer. And then have, transcribed or have it, use Fathom, if you will, and out spits the summary that you can edit. So there are all sorts of tools that you can use that will make this very simple. But so, for the next 30 days, you answer one of those questions and you've got your start.
Right. Now, are you doing any batch? And I see you say it's on your calendar every day, but are you batching content as far as okay, good. Because that's one thing I find that helps people kind of get over the idea of, oh my God, I've got to do this thing every day.
Now, I don't do it daily anymore because I batch so much that I don't have to do that. But I think the way to get started is to batch it. The other thing I would say to you, Marilyn, is I've been doing video, I think, since 2008. So I've been doing this a long time. And you'll see how I've gotten younger over the years.
I know the video's gotten better too, right?
But I've gotten better at it, I shot video last Thursday. I went out, saw a setting that I liked, pulled out my equipment, and it was at the end of the day, and I just started shooting. And the first 3 times I started, it was like, I hate this. And I stopped it, discarded it, and started again until I got a rhythm. For those of you who are, litigators, we know how to talk, if you will. Okay, we know how to organize our thoughts. I prefer. Sometimes I've used index cards. Sometimes I've used a teleprompter. Sometimes it's like, okay, I've got a thought about this current event and I'm going to make these 3 points and off I go.
I love that. Now, one of the things that gets to be like a teleprompter. If you're using a teleprompter on your phone, you're still not looking at the camera. And I've heard people that irks them if they're watching a video and someone's not looking at the camera, or they don't like the fact about themselves. And my thought is they're looking near the camera, and if you put captions over it, they're going to be reading the captions instead of looking at your eyes. I mean, there's something you can find something wrong or some reason to procrastinate, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's such an issue, just use that pointed signature sticky thing, that you got, and I will put it literally right on top of the camera, either on my phone or on my computer. So I know where I'm looking. There's also a device I just saw recently that you can put over your camera area that will allegedly you can look, straight.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yes, like a clear, a friend of mine has almost a clear tray that's on their computer that they, they're looking that direction, and it's just they can look at and read their notes going through. So it's quite interesting, different options. But I love how you've made it simple. You've also, worked into a process that works really well for you. And you're on LinkedIn. Obviously, YouTube is huge. And are you putting your video? Are you doing video and audio for your podcast?
Yes. And then so we'll take the podcast. The podcast is between 25 and 35 minutes. It goes out to our editor. I think I pay maybe $25 a pop to get it cleaned up. Then what we'll do is we'll run it through Opus, another program, and say, well, okay, we want you to take this and format, give us, if it's a 30-minute clip, give us, 15, 90-second clips, give us, 10 2-minute clips. So we can, basically decide what it is we're doing. And quite frankly, I never see it after that. All I do is, because I love to write, is I do the writing and I do the filming. And then after that, I have staff or offshore employees that do it all for me. So.
And Opus is getting much, much better. I know their newest update was really good. But the one thing I like about Opus is they also grade the videos. And so in what percentage they believe it'll be better viewed.
Right.
And so you can, so you can choose which one you want to do there.
Right.
And okay, very cool. And you find that using your YouTube channel and your LinkedIn, you're now being seen. People are coming to you pre-sold because you put everything out there. And you've got books for both professionals and for consumers.
Correct. We also do a newsletter every month, and the format of the newsletter is really a client story, a success story. It's talking about a particular disease of the month. We do, fun stuff in the office. One of our employees just proposed to his girlfriend, so we did a whole section on that. Christy and I went to Podfest. Okay. We're the few lawyers who actually goes to a convention about podcasting because I think that's interesting. So we did some photos about that. We do a recipe. We do, we publish the 5-star reviews that we get, a couple of them. We do shout outs to people who referred cases to us. And, we used to do it hard copy. We do it now electronically. We have a really good open rate, and people will sometimes call us and say, where is it? And I'll say, well, I'm not in charge of that, but I know it's, So that's part of the hub and spoke. We start with the blog, then we do a podcast. We do different forms of social media based on the platforms. We use it in our newsletter. I use it in my podcast. So basically, even though it sounds like a lot of work, it's one piece of content that is now used on different platforms. And believe me, it was a much more involved process before we had some of the technology that we had today. So with all due respect to the audience, you're not too busy. You just are procrastinating and you need to get off your duff and do it because most people who hire a lawyer don't want our services. They don't want to need us, and they certainly don't want to pay us. And they know that every lawyer went to law school, and it doesn't necessarily, I think, matter to most people where you went to law school. What matters is that you're empathetic, you are compassionate, you want to educate them, you want to help them make wise decisions. And to me, that really is the way to stand out from all of the competitors that we have, those that advertise and even those that don't advertise.
what's your plan to grow your law firm's sales and profits in 2025? My name is Marilyn Jenkins, and I want to take a quick moment to share something I'm super excited about. It's called the Law Firm Growth Guild. It's your shortcut to mastering marketing and getting more clients. It's sponsored by Law Marketing Zone. If you're a lawyer or a law firm owner who's been feeling overwhelmed, juggling clients, leading your team, and trying to scale without losing your sanity, I get it. It's a lot. That's exactly why I created this online membership community. I've been working with law firms since 2018, and I've worked with and helped hundreds of firms across the U.S. and Canada to grow and scale their firms beyond where they had ever been before. The Law Firm Growth Guild is designed to help you understand marketing strategies and grow your firm smarter and to scale your firm predictably. And here's the best part. It's only a fraction of the price of a cup of coffee daily. My team and I are adding new content weekly, and you can be intentional about your growth and development each week. All of our webinars and workshops are in the community, and a first good workshop is all about setting your vision for your strategy for 2025. We've got workbooks, spreadsheets, and everything to walk you through setting up your marketing plan for 2025. Getting crystal clear on where you're going and how to get there. Imagine walking into this new year with confidence, with a plan, and with the tools to make 2025 into your best year yet. Don't get left behind. Join the community now and jumpstart your growth for 2025 and beyond. Click the link in the show notes or visit checkout.lawmarketingzone.com to find out more and to join the community. Let's grow your firm together. I can't wait to see you on the inside of the Law Firm Growth Guild.
Yeah. I absolutely 100% agree with you. And what I love about your newsletter is you're doing exactly what, those of us in marketing who've been trying to get our clients to do this more is the know, like, and trust factor.
Yes.
Yes, you have the authority with your book, with your podcast, with your YouTube, but you're getting your information out as being an authority, but you're also letting people get to know you, your team, your voice. And people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So they're coming to you pre-sold.
Absolutely. Again, people will say, I saw your YouTube videos, I saw your podcast, I've ordered your book, where do I sign?
Nice. That's fantastic. That's great. And you've obviously been extremely successful in what's termed a male-dominated field, and you're just consistently getting new calls and new clients from your marketing efforts.
Yes.
Fantastic. What about how much time? So you're getting your Google alerts. So you're staying in tune with the medical side of what you're doing. About how much time are you spending? You said you can knock out a blog article in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you like blocking like an hour of your time to be able to focus and do all of that and get it done and then hand it off to your team?
So I spend a lot of time on airplanes, and so I fly every 2 weeks. So from the second I hit the seat in the airplane to the second that they tell me I have to put my stuff away, I'm writing. I'm not watching movies. I'm just there. I've got my material, and I'm just, okay. So, stay 4 hours every 2 weeks writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The filming, with stops and starts, I would say to you, probably 2.5 hours. It takes a while to set up the equipment, and I kind of move locations. I put my buds in, and I shoot. And then if I don't like it, I, reshoot it again. So at this point, because I've done it so long, I'm very efficient at it. People who take this approach, they're going to think, oh my God, it's going to take forever. And it might take forever for a little bit, but I promise you, the more you do it, like anything, the more you do it, the better you get and the more comfortable you get. So,
I mean, bottom line, you're not saying very much time at all. I mean, okay, so you don't stand at the water cooler and chat for 30 minutes this morning. Get to work.
Yeah.
Do something. I love that you take that focused time though. I get a lot of work done when I'm traveling as well, because you don't need to watch a movie. You don't need to, I can finally finish a book I've been wanting to read, or, finish writing a couple of articles that I've been wanting to get to and haven't been able to get to, or work on a, PowerPoint or something. So it's good to use that amount of time.
Yeah. So back in the day, I would just take Saturday mornings for about 2 hours.
Okay.
And I would actually go outside on my patio and set up or, we all have things that cancel in our calendar. So
True.
if I have a client who doesn't show up or something gets canceled, that's 30 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. I can knock out.
Be productive.
Yeah. So,
And I think the other thing that you were very clear about, or you talked about, is how simple your setup is. I bought a ring light with a tripod that holds my phone in the middle of it, and it cost me $23 on Amazon.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this stuff is and you can use, the thing is, you see people using this 35 millimeter digital cameras or whatever. And I'm like, you've got a phone in your pocket.
Right. Right. I've got, at the beginning, of course, I did spend money on things. I mean, back in the day, they didn't have a lot of the equipment that we had. I mean, literally, we went to Home Depot and bought lights and put cans on them, if you will, and hung them on a bracket from the ceiling in our office. So,
We've done that in community theater. But
it's like,
so
don't make excuses. I mean, use your iPhone, use your buds, use your computer. Just go get it done. Don't get, you don't need the best of everything to get this done. What you have, I mean, there's a sign in our marketing office that says GSDF, get shit done fast.
I love that. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, just doing it. Just get started.
So, we lawyers tend to be perfectionists. And so what I say to my marketing people is, look, we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. There are times when, I make small mistakes, if you will, in the course of shooting the video. And I'm not going to fix it because I want people to see, I'm human too. Sometimes it's a big mistake and we'll reshoot it. But when you're trying to relate to someone, I don't always, I prefer to look directly at people, but that's not how we normally talk. I mean, I look to the right as if I'm thinking, I'll look off to the side and go, so, I'm engaging in gestures and behavior that I think create trust because it's a natural conversation. When I'm looking at that camera, I'm thinking as if I'm talking to a prospective client or a loved one. It's not this, Ivy League discussion or an intellectual discussion. It's, okay, this is how I can help you. This is what you need to know. So here I am if you need me. If not, that's fine.
Well, see, and I think that makes a lot of sense because I believe that most people feel like the attorneys are unapproachable.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's a scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is from the attorney's point of view, keeping in mind that marketing is not an opinion piece. It's not something that you're going to be held accountable for. It's you're educating.
Right.
It's not a case opinion. So just another thought there. And to people listening, if the fact that she has clients coming ready to sign pre-sold because of what she's putting out there doesn't tell you to get started, I don't know what does.
Yeah. If you want to hack your way through the marketing jungle and, compete with people who can spend much more money than I'm willing to spend or even have, then that's your deal. But that's not my approach. And it's worked well and kept us competitive in some niche markets. But I also think that, and I know people in like immigration and personal injury who are doing this, and it's keeping them, in front of prospective clients. I mean, you and I both know we never know when a client really needs us. People just aren't watching these kinds of videos because they're thinking that they want to hire a lawyer. It's normally after something is begun to happen or has happened in their lives that they are looking around. And so this is a gentle way, I think, a persuasive way, an educational way to say to clients, you have a problem. Here is what I think the answer is. And if you think I'm the lawyer for you, that's great. If you don't think I'm the lawyer for you, that's even better because I don't want to represent you. So it's a non-threatening way to educate people. Because said people don't necessarily like lawyers or want to hire lawyers or pay lawyers. So it's a way to create an empathetic relationship that results in you being pre-sold to the client who wants you to represent them.
Exactly. And that's the know, like, and trust. They know your voice. This is such great information, Nancy. And in case anybody that's listening wants to reach out, have any questions or anything, where's the best place to reach out for you?
You can call my office at 727-894-3188. You can ask for my associate, Christy Monaco, and we can set something up.
Fantastic. I'll make sure that's in the show notes. And we also have your LinkedIn, and I'll link to your podcast as well, so people can have a listen to what you're talking about. This has been great, Nancy. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us today.
My pleasure. And thank you for your show.
Thanks for joining me today for this episode. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, you can connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take the next step with a digital strategist to help you grow your law firm, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to lawmarketingzone.com to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, thanks for listening to Leadership in Law Podcast, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Leadership in Law Podcast. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of law firm owners out there facing similar challenges and striving for the same success. Head over to our website at lawmarketingzone.com. From there, connect with other listeners, access valuable resources, and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep leading with vision and keep growing your firm.